Bam! Week one's over. What happened? Right, so engineering group. Obviously, we got to know each other a little bit. Had 2 meetings. I got put in the role as our finance manager, which is great. I wanted a senior role in the team. Finance manager is obviously not quite up there with leader, but it's one of the top 2. We got a report in, so I've got a great big list of how we've got to submit all of our expenses and stuff. We've all got on, started reading some literature about the subject. I'm focusing on the way that vibration can be used to control the flow of powders, basically. So it's going to come from a hopper and then feed down tubes into the laser beam, which is how the 3D printer works. It's pretty interesting. Learned a lot about the technology. I've read maybe 8 or 9 papers so far, which is not bad for a week. Got started with physics. Physics was pretty good. Had a couple of meetings on Microsoft Teams. They weren't like lectures. They were just like lectures to introduce stuff, tell us when we had to submit worksheets and that sort of thing. Started a little exercise book. I write all my notes for each unit into an exercise book or 2, because I just think they're the easiest way to transport it around and find it again. Much easier than dealing with it on like loose paper and then put into files with file dividers and stuff. It all just rips and comes apart. Got quite a lot of stuff done on top of all my academic stuff, because obviously it wasn't particularly intense this week. So I started reading The Martian, which is a book by Andy Weir. It's the one that the Matt Damon film's based on. It's pretty good. I've read a couple of chapters. Just reading it before I go to bed, but it does seem to help me sleep, which is great. Room's a bit more decorated, and I started learning a bit more about Blender. So I'd already learned modelling in Blender, but I was basically trying to teach myself how to do textures properly. So establishing bump maps, which basically move the surface that you're texturing up and down a tiny bit, and that adds shadows and details. You've got stuff like reflections and little smudges on anything that is reflective, so like there's fingerprints on metal, things like that make it look more realistic, which is pretty interesting. It's taken a lot of tutorials, stuff like that. Got to know my flatmates better, which is great. They're all really nice. We basically see each other for meals and stuff, but that's the standard way things seem to go in student accommodation. I think it's pretty inevitable that we get put into a lockdown at this point, but the fact we've all got to know each other pretty well is a good thing. It means, we're not going to go insane sitting on our own in our rooms. We get to, get someone to interact with socially. There's only 8 of us, but it's better than nothing. Next week, pretty intense. I've got 9 till 5s on Teams every day, but it's a whole unit, so our year has to make up at least 120 credits, and each module is worth some amount of credits. Most of mine are worth 10, 15 or 20, depending on where they're from and who's teaching them and how much work's involved. But I'm doing a 15 credit module in a week next week, so all the teaching is delivered in a week, and then we've got about a week's time to submit some coursework as well. A quick engineering module, which will be good. Obviously that means our engineering project has sort of hit a wall in terms of progress, because I'm doing that, and a lot of the rest of the team are. Of the 5, I think 4 of us are doing that module, so we're not going to have any free time. But it does mean we have whole weeks where we have nothing to do, which is great, because it means we can just get on with the projects. Other than that, there's not a lot happening. I've got given my my tutors for a scheme I've signed up for, so I'm going to start tutoring online to 2 students, and it's part of an initiative to basically make up for the fact that a lot of education was lost because of the coronavirus shutting schools last year. I hope I can help. I'm teaching one of them GCSE physics and the other A-level maths, so a little bit of revision on my part wouldn't go amiss, but I'll have a scan through. I need to send them emails about sort of how we should communicate and what they want to go over the most. But other than that, it's a week of plain sailing, basically. I haven't got anything to complain about, so life is pretty good. But next week's going to be stressful, so I wouldn't expect my hair to be neat or my room to be tidy come video time next week. Yeah. Alright. Unless I go through anything in detail, I think that's pretty much the length of every video from now on. I'm going to try and save up topics like talking about my project for videos that are intensely about that. Just because I want to do it justice, basically. But yeah, everything's going well. Hopefully next week I can keep doing the physics on top of my 9 till 5 engineering lectures, because my physics module is going to continue through next week. But yeah, it's not particularly intense. Everything's recorded, so I'll just do it in the evenings, basically. Busy week, but yeah, week after, plain sailing. Catch you in the next one.